The entering of the ashram. This theme necessarily has great interest for all aspirants and would-be disciples, but I am not at first going to deal with the subject from the angle of humanity and its effort to establish contact with the ashram. I desire first of all to speak of the ashram as a whole, constituted of many ashrams, and creating an invoking area of relationship for the supreme head of the ashram, Sanat Kumara, the Lord of the world. I seek to enter into no discussion of this leading life of our entire planet. He, capital H, capital E, is too a still greater being, the one referred to elsewhere as the one about whom naught may be said, what the vehicle of a master in physical incarnation is to him, and on a less accurate basis, what your personality is to you. It is an expression of the soul or of the monad when a disciple has attained initiate consciousness. All the qualities, the love, and the purpose of a supreme entity, referred to in the New Testament as the unknown God, are focused in Sanat Kumara. Some gauge of the unfoldments which can lie ahead of humanity will enter the human consciousness when 1. The fact of the hierarchy, 2. The nature of its relationship to Shambhala, and 3. The spiritual nature of those who respond in reverent obedience to the slightest wish of the Lord of the world are among the accepted truths whereby men live. This will happen after the externalization of the hierarchy. This Lord of the world is the sole repository of the will and purpose of the one of whom he is an expression. This again can be understood by you as evoking the same relation to the unknown God, quote unquote, as your personality when expressing adequately the soul and later the monad, conditions your perception, knowledge, plans, and purpose, and controls the quality of your life and directs the energy which you express. His vehicle of manifestation is the planet with its 7 centers, of which only 3 are yet recognized by the occult student. Shambhala, his head center, the hierarchy, his heart center, and humanity, his throat center. The other 4 centers are concerned with evolutions which are reach-controlled and related from one or other of these 3 major centers. The solar plexus is dominated by the hierarchy, the heart center of Sanat Kumara, and has a close relation to the Deva evolution, hinted at by me in a treatise on cosmic fire. The vastness of this subject will be understood by my use of the word hint in reference to what I have earlier written on the subject. The center, which we call Shambhala, controls that mysterious center, which is the correspondence to that which we call the center at the base of the spine. This is the inadequate name given to the reservoir of threefold fire, latent and quiescent, which is found at the base of the human spine. It is entirely inactive except in those people who have taken the 3rd initiation. The planetary center is related to the 3 fires, electric fire, solar fire, and fire by friction, which are the source of the life, warmth, moisture, and growth of all forms upon our planet. It may seem curious and inexplicable to you, but the center of creativity is affected, and I had almost said guarded, by the center which we call the race of men, the reference in the serious occult books to the future of humanity as the savior of all the subhuman kingdoms has relation to this fact. The Ageless center of the Lord of the world is just beginning to express itself in a recognizable manner through the new group of world servers. This intermediate group between the hierarchy and humanity is a carrier of the energy which makes the plan possible, the plan of which the hierarchy is the custodian. This plan implements the purpose, and later, when the new group of world servers is organized and is recognized as a living organism, it will definitely receive energy from Shambhala in a direct reception via the hierarchy. This information is, I realize, of little immediate importance to you, but towards the end of the century it will be found explanatory of much. Though the Christ is the head of the hierarchy, it is Sanat Kumara, the Ancient of Days, whose ashram it truly is. The Christ, I am using one of his official names, is indeed the master of all the masters and the coordinator of the entire life of the great ashram, in conjunction with the two other hierarchical officials, the Manu and the Mahachohan. The information I gave as to the constitution of the hierarchy, an initiation human and solar, was along the same line. The hierarchy is the ashram of Sanat Kumara, but he has delegated his authority, right down the ages, to the so-called world saviors successively, their life expression embodied in every case the goal of the period during which they held office. In the earlier days of the hierarchy, millennia of years ago, neither the official directors of the hierarchy nor the masters were of the caliber which they are today. Had they been so, they would have been too far removed from the factual life of the cycle, and therefore useless for the cycle of divine life which existed. The growth of humanity and its evolutionary status, when compared with primordial and primitive man, can be seen in the quality of the hierarchy today, which humanity produced and towards which it looks for guidance and teaching. This is an interesting point which I offer for your consideration. Never forget, my brothers, that as it is humanity which has furnished the personnel of the hierarchy, including the Christ, the first of our humanity to achieve divinity, we have, therefore, the guarantee and the assurance of humanity's ultimate success. The three major executives of the hierarchy are 1. The Christ representing the second ray of love wisdom, 2. The Manu representing the first ray of will or power, and 3. The Mahachohan representing the third ray of active intelligence, are responsible to the Lord of the world for the processing of the life and impulse which conditions the evolutionary process. This statement is made without any further definition by me, because the whole subject is too abstruse, and it would require another treatise like that on cosmic fire to make it even a little clearer. Humanity can only be the recipient of this type of information after the first ray of will or power has become more active. This will take place when the work of the second ray of love wisdom has reached its next cyclic crisis point. The crisis points of a ray are ever indicative of success and have in them the quality of joy. Mankind will then be much freer from the spirit of separateness, and a measure of peace, unity, and cooperation will be conditioning human relations. There is a constant shifting in the state of the planetary consciousness, and this, though implemented from Shambhala, is produced by humanity itself. This unfolding human consciousness leads mankind eventually out of the fourth kingdom in nature into the fifth, the hierarchy of souls, and, at the same time, raises the level of consciousness in all the three subhuman kingdoms. This series of happenings will remain for a long time inexplicable to man, though the results can be seen in the effect which humanity has had on the animal kingdom through domestication, on the vegetable kingdom through specialization and science, and on the mineral kingdom through the skilled utilization of metals and the widespread use of the mineral products of the earth. It must be borne in mind that the council chamber of the Lord at Shambhala is a unit, but that the hierarchy is a differentiation of this basic unity into the 7 major ashrams and the 49 ashrams which are gradually forming. The hierarchy is, however, a unity within itself, for the entire ashramic life is guarded by a ring-pass knot created by its radiation. The 7 and the 49 ashrams are held together by the magnetic interplay of the whole. It is this radiation which affects by its quality the senior aspirants in the world and draws them gradually into relationship with itself and finally into its magnetic field. This is aided by the clarity of perception, the intensification of the livingness of the rightly oriented aspirant. I prefer the word livingness to that of vibration, so widely used in modern occultism. There is therefore a dual inflow into the ashram of Sanat Kumara, controlled and directed by the 3 hierarchical directors. One from Shambhala itself. This is a flow of energizing life, or of what we might call unfettered enlightenment. This impresses the purpose or the will of the Lord of the world upon the united hierarchy in a manner incomprehensible to you. It also creates a dynamic magnetic impulse which enables the graded initiates, through the medium of the ashrams, to organize the plan and set it in motion so that the purpose gradually materializes on earth. Because the senior initiates, from the Christ down to the initiates of the 4th degree, are conscious in varying ways according to Ray of the eternal now, and can work free from the compulsion of time. They can see the impressed purpose as a more complete whole than can initiates of lesser degree and development. It is this capacity which makes them responsive to Shambhala, where the living will of the unknown God for a period of a life cycle is seen in completeness and is already existent. The hierarchy is, however, handicapped in its activity by the time sense and the materialistic focus of the center, which we call the race of men. From humanity, too, there is a constant and increasing flow of reoriented human energy penetrating into and beyond the radiatory periphery. This penetrating energy, implemented by the individual aspirant and disciple, is that of intelligent activity, and little as you may have realized it, it is this constant inflow which aids in the intelligent application of the plan to human affairs. The science of impression, which governs the technique of Shambhala, functions through the three different centers in 3 different ways. A, Shambhala and dynamic impression. B, the hierarchy through magnetic telepathy. And C, humanity through radiatory sensitivity. Yet these 3 are only manifestations of the will of God as it works out in the activities of his 3 major centers. One point should here be made. The entry of a member of the human family into the ranks of the initiates and his participation in the activity of some one or other of the ashrams produces a movement out of the hierarchy of some master and into the highest center of all. It has this effect only after the entering initiate has taken the 3rd initiation, and can therefore take his part in the hierarchical life as a monadic expression susceptible to impression from Shambhala. When a master thus emerges, he is immediately confronted with the choice between the 7 paths. With this development and decision we shall later deal. The 7 paths are all concerned with purpose, just as the 7 ashrams are all concerned with the plan. There is, as you will later see, a direct relation between the 7 paths and the 7 ashrams. Though we shall not deal with the subject at all, there is likewise a correspondence in the 3rd major center, humanity. You have, therefore, curiously interrelated the 7 paths, the 7 rays, the 7 ashrams, and the 7 races. Students would do well to bear in mind that these relationships are the result of the involutionary activity of the life expression of the Lord of the world. The key to the mystery of differentiation is found by the Master when he is faced by the choice of the 7 paths. At that high point of will expression, he discovers the secret of that evolutionary process which proceeds from unity to differentiation, and from differentiation to unity again. Individualization, initiation, and identification are the 3 main stages in the evolutionary activity of the life of God and condition the quality of each of the 3 divine centers. The 4 related septenates enumerated above eventually produce a synthesis which will consummate upon the cosmic mental plane. This is, of course, beyond my powers to teach or to explain, as I am not yet a liberated master, though I am a liberated human being. In the human center, the man becomes identified with himself. In the hierarchy, he becomes identified with the group. In Shambhala, he becomes identified with the planetary whole, which is all capitalized there. When that takes place, he is then aware for the first time that other identifications, lying beyond the planetary ring-pass knot, confront him. His choice of one or other of the paths is conditioned by the quality of his previous identifications, which are in their turn conditioned by his ray type. Passing from these broad generalizations, which in reality lie far beyond our present grasp, but which will have their future usefulness, let us now consider the hierarchy as it exists in the consciousness of Sanat Kumara as his ashram, and as it constitutes the noble middle path to which the Buddha refers, and fills the intermediate and the mediating place between Shambhala and humanity. This position of the hierarchy must never be forgotten. I think we call it there for today. It's a lot of information, and we'll pick back up with the 7 groups of ashrams within the hierarchy, likely tomorrow. Thanks.